Now you're the only one. Would you like to see a play area?
Yeah,
And what would you like to see in the play area?
like a regular playground with a fence and probably, the people will be allowed.
No one's gonna show up in this rain. Might as well reschedule.
Put a key on the fence.
Okay.
Another parent.
Hi.
Up a little bit more.
I
Hi.
was given the same suggestion yesterday, like in Queens and Forest Hills, if you want your children to be part of like a private park, what they do is they have a key. So I was thinking maybe like one that can't be duplicated, like the back door key, and make all the parents that want to be part of the park pay for the key, and then that way at least we have a log of who has access to it. But we're definitely not for the basketball court, because that's just gonna bring obscenities, a different dynamic.
Okay, so
We had a basketball court here. It didn't work out. It was a
Exactly,
disaster.
and now the neighborhood's changed even more,
so
so I really don't think the basketball court's
so
gonna be.
what would you like to see in a play area?
Like what type of equipment?
Yeah, and whatever. Yeah.
Well, what do you think, Dad? Swings?
Yeah.
They
like a
sell like
regular-
an infrastructure that has like multi-purposes, like a slide, a baby swing, a big child a swing for a regular child. There's all different structures now. They make them so modern. There's
One of
no-
those prefabricated
Yeah.
multi-thing companies.
Something like that. So maybe, when I first thought about this over a year and a half ago, next to the tennis courts where the park is, there's a flat level area where the grass is. So maybe just something simple right there.
So in the park area where there's a flat area.
Yeah,
Okay.
that, or if you wanted to utilize one of the tennis courts, because to be honest, the parents are just bringing the kids there. Like I'll bring Sophia there to throw a ball around, because only one of the areas of the tennis courts were renovated, where the tennis players play on the left-hand side, so.
Okay.
But definitely if we do that, maybe a key.
Yeah, that's
So
So
key-
we know who has access
Fenced
to
in
it.
key access.
Yeah, the fence is already there, so.
But if we have no money, how can we buy equipment? How can we buy it?
That question is way down the line. Okay.
But why even discuss something if we have no money? We have no entertainment for the older people, right? Because we have no money, period. Now we're gonna buy equipment, get higher insurance, because you have to have insurance when you have children playing.
Just to address that, that's not necessarily true.
Why not?
Because it's already been asked, and according to the property manager.
I never heard that you don't have to have insurance if they're
No.
playing.
You have
We have-
additional insurance.
We have that will not change. It will not change our insurance, according to the property manager.
What
It
if
will not
somebody
change.
gets hurt there? Are the parents gonna stay there and supervise their children?
Again,
Yeah.
it's getting,
But
it's getting way
that's,
ahead.
yeah,
You're getting
that's
way
what I'm
ahead.
saying, lock it, so the,
I'm going to
Yeah.
assume that non-parents will be able to speak at this thing, because I've been researching this thing for 3 days, and I have a lot to say about it.
Okay, anybody, I said, okay, I started the discussion already.
Stevie, what's your general opinion?
Absolutely, we should have a play area where I have specific views on how it should be done. And I've done so much research on it, and I can address one of your issues, and one of Dick's issues, and one of this lady's issues, and I can bring a lot to the table.
You'll be able to talk. You can talk.
This is it, this is it. So
Okay.
you've
do
got
you
the-
want to reschedule, due to the rain, it looks like obviously no one's showing, and there's so many parents in the neighborhood now, do you want to make an additional meeting? Or it is what
At
it
this
is?
point, no, I mean, this was noticed
Yeah,
weeks, more than a week ago.
I know.
And just because it's raining, you showed up,
Yeah.
these people showed up.
Well, go ahead, Steve, you got the floor.
Okay, I right the floor, Sid?
You got it.
Okay.
Your opinion.
First, let me address some specific issues in reverse order. What this lady said about spending money on equipment. I've been studying this thing, and I've been looking at playgrounds that would suit our place here. A lot of these playgrounds are built from the ground up, with nothing but recycled rubber. I saw one this morning that was nothing but tires, from the size you would find on a car, to the size you would find on an 18-wheeler, to the size you would find on heavy equipment trucks, and paint them in pretty colors so the kids could climb around on these things. Swings are no good, and monkey bars are no good, because then you have the possibility of kids falling and getting hurt. However, in these rubberized playgrounds, which cost close to nothing to put in, the only way any kid is going to get hurt is if one kid punches another kid in the nose. That can happen anywhere. I want to address Frank's point about, well, we've got parks all over Lauder Hill. That's not what this is about. This is not about parks. This is about safety and the friggin' lunatics in this village driving through here, blowing the stop signs, ignoring the speed limits, including, I'm sorry to say, some of my neighbors, and I see children playing on the street. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody may get killed. It's about safety. To address what Mr. Goodhart said, well, what do we got? 8 families in the whole village with children? We've got 8 families in my building with children. So
Are they renters or owners?
it doesn't matter
I
whether
just asked
they're,
a question.
I don't know, it doesn't matter.
We should know.
Children are children.
Because if we're gonna vote on it, renters can't vote. Ah,
But the owners
and
of
how many
the-
kids are here? So I've asked that 100 times. Tell me, 30, 50, 100, I don't know. And do they belong to owners or renters? It's important.
And there are people.
If they're renters, they'll never get the vote passed. So what are we wasting our time?
Why are you wasting your time
I'm
here?
just listening.
Oh, you're just listening.
I'm passing
So you have a
that
lot
comment.
to say for a guy
Yeah,
that
I want it.
just listen.
I want it, but I wanna know, we don't know what we're talking about. That's the problem, as always. Tell me how many children are here. Do you know the answer?
No, I have no clue.
How do we start?
I
Maybe there's
just-
only 10.
Dick, not to be offensive to you.
Don't be offended. Tell me
but
how many children are here.
I feel like this neighborhood is just so ageist, and I've lived here for 13 years, and I've owned for 13 years, and I've loved it up until the last 19 months to where I've become a parent. And I've realized as much as I love the village, there is nothing here for her.
Agreed.
And many of the owners moved here probably in their late 30s, early 40s, and the village has always been about entertainment for that age group. But the demographic has changed. Dick, you know there's a lot more than 8 families with children
You don't listen to me.
in the
I agree
neighborhood.
with you, but just tell me how many people we're talking about. That's all I'm asking.
I would
And
say
if half
at
of them are
least
renters, you'll never
40.
get it passed because they can't vote. That's all I'm saying.
The entity best equipped to answer your question would be management.
Yes, I've asked them. I can't get an answer.
I don't know how they're gonna get the answer. It's gonna be,
What do you mean? They have a list of the people living here who are renting and who are owning, and how many have children. That's only adding up. Can they add it up? They can push a button.
I don't think that information is available to push a button. I doubt
You
it.
don't know how many people living in an apartment is available to them, whether they're owners or renters,
Again,
and how many
We don't know
children?
that.
Please.
All the illegal people,
Yeah.
we don't know how many people.
Bottom
live
line, you
here.
can't just push a button. That's not in the
Let's say we have
database.
100 children here. The problem, one of the problems I envision is, a kid goes to school, he says, you know what, come to my development, we got playground. And you're gonna have 10 kids
But
in
there's
there.
playgrounds in every neighborhood but ours.
Does the insurance
Every
cover guests
neighborhood,
with their
in
children?
the,
Yeah.
not in the
Well,
condo,
well,
not
sure.
in the condos.
So I want to encourage them like fool even. And I'm on the side, I want to.
Well, the guest issue is another one, but there's a restriction on guests per, depending upon how many adults in the unit
Who's gonna
have
stand there to watch that thing for 10 or 12 hours a day, it's gonna be open?
It's a question of getting into the property, not getting onto the thing.
You know-
So I don't think that's gonna be an issue.
On that issue, and something Jennifer said, a simple swing gate that closes and latches, and a sign making it very clear that no children may use the play area unless they are accompanied by a parent or adult guardian. Nobody else will be able to use this area.
Who's going to enforce that?
Huh?
Who's going to enforce that?
The people who are there. You put a couple of benches in for the parents and the guardians to keep an eye on the kids who are playing in this area. You know, the association has not been able to prove to me that they're doing anything to enforce our traffic regulations in here. They have put in some new stop signs. It helped to some extent. But people are driving through here like lunatics. And sometimes children will just dart out into the street. And it's very dangerous. I have followed people out of Marvin's orientations who I saw had little children, and I approached them on the street and I said, I see you have small children. When you walk out of your building, don't let them out of your sight for one split second. Why? Because we have no way of enforcing the regulations that we already have in place regarding our speed limits and our stop signs. My own neighbors do it. I sit on my balcony and I watch people all day flying through here and blowing the stop sign between St. Moritz and Interlaken. This is a safety issue.
Maybe that's why we need the speed bumps.
Well, that's another issue.
But I also saw a woman the other day with a baby carriage and a little carriage, and they were walking down the middle of the lane.
Yes.
Right down the middle.
Yep.
So if the car was coming one way and you couldn't go by them because you couldn't get around them, there wasn't enough room.
And Mr. Goodhart's issue about how we vote is also a non-issue. This whole concept will be reviewed by the Special Projects Committee. They will make a recommendation to the board, and the board will vote on whether this thing gets done or not. Not me.
You're wrong, good speech.
No.
Good
But
speech, but you're wrong.
it goes to the committee.
People have to vote.
The committee first makes a recommendation to the board for the board to consider. If the board says, yes, we should do this, it then goes to the membership.
Did the membership
That's right.
vote on putting a roof on this building?
That's completely irrelevant.
Not
Because changing it's a material change to the common area to change something into a playground.
Can I just say something?
So that has to be membership vote.
Membership vote.
Putting a roof on there is not a change to the common area. That's a board decision. You see the difference?
Actually, no. Changing the facade on the Grenoble building is a common area. And we're moving ahead on that without a vote.
No. Again, right now, for example, let's say the board thinks the best thing to do is to change one of the tennis courts into a playground. Or let's say they decide that to change part of the barbecue area into a playground. That's a change to a material change to the common area.
Or a bocce court.
Whatever. That has to be approved by a majority of the unit owners. Fixing the Grenoble wall, fixing the roof is not a material change. It's a repair. Do you see the
Yeah, I
difference?
hear this.
Okay. So this is a board, the roof of this building is a board decision. Changing the common area from whatever it is to a play area, that can only be done by the membership. And it has to, again, after this, it goes to the committee. If it gets through the committee, it goes to the board. If it gets through the board, it then goes to the membership. Those are pretty big hurdles at this point.
Okay, well, not being a parent, I only have one more thing to say.
Okay.
And that is basically that anybody in this community who is opposed to anything that will be good for our children should be ashamed of themselves. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Marvin, all I want to say is, as of right now, all we have in regards to the families is the fountain. And unfortunately, we go to the fountain, the main fountain in the
Only
French
what?
Quarter.
In the French Quarter.
Yeah, that's surrounded by grass. But unfortunately, you know, the neighborhood's changing, and there's a group of gentlemen that go there, and they drink and they smoke. And the other day I spent an hour and I filled up an entire garbage bag full of whiskey bottles, vodka bottles, beer cans, even from the airline. You know, when you get a drink on the airline, they have the small bottles. Cigarettes. Our kids should not be picking up cigarette butts and almost putting them in their mouths, and that's what we have.
Yesterday I was there with my kids, and we found beer bottles, broken beer bottles on the ground. I called security and I told them about it to make sure that, you know, that is happening more often, every time more. So that's a big concern for me.
That's an argument for having a place for kids to play.
Meaning the, yeah, because
But
we
that's
can't
the only
even,
space we
that
have, right?
common area is not for them because
No.
it's surrounded by garbage and litter, and I've even, you know, asked management, since one of the benches was removed and never put back, we have those 3 decorative garbage cans in front of the clubhouse. At least take one of those and put it at the fountain so people have a place to put their trash. So that's another issue, but basically that's the only place we're bringing our children to. And it's littered and polluted.
Yeah, the only other place that I've personally seen is bringing them onto one of the tennis courts and just having
And
them
that's-
run around and bounce a ball or something.
Yeah,
Hi,
Hi.
What's your-
Sorry, the rain kept me from being
that's
here.
okay.
like everyone.
What's your name?
Tracy,
Hi Tracy, what building do you live in?
St. Moritz.
St. Moritz. Got kids?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, but I do have some questions. Regarding the play area, number one, are we gonna be responsible for insurance? Number two, how are you going to, like Jen said, you know, unfortunately, the barbecue area is kind of the same thing. There's a lot of trash there a lot of times. Sometimes I go run through the little thing and I see whiskey bottles and things like that. Even if you do put a play area in, how are you gonna keep the derelicts, those people from not going to the play area and doing the same thing?
Well,
So we
that's
have to consider that.
That's as simple as a locked gate.
Yeah, but how are you gonna?
We were just, my suggestion was, so you know how we have to pay for the backdoor key that can't be duplicated? To sell it to the parents, and we say have a log of who has access, so if something goes wrong, you could say, send a complaint or violation letter to all the parents that have, access, like.
And if you put it in, not by the fountain, but across from me, what's the times going to be? No offense, but
The insurance won't
what are
change.
the
Everything
play
that you
area
add.
times going to be? Because I can hear, I mean, I can, obviously I can hear, I'm right across from the tennis court, so I can hear. That doesn't bother me so much, you know, about, but, you know.
Where would you like to see a play area?
Right on the other side where she was talking, there's a flat area on the other side of the barbecue area.
On the other side, like across
Not
from
the
the
barbecue,
Not the
behind
barbecue,
it,
behind.
behind the
Behind.
trees where it's flat.
across from the interlock.
Yeah, I mean, even if we did a really cheap infrastructure, like at Toys R Us, they sell them for like $1,500. So say, for example, if all the parents chipped in, it's a very small unit. I mean, it's probably this size, maybe from this plank of wood to the other, and it's got a couple little simple things for the children to play on.
Yeah, that,
Something cheap and
Doesn't have
small,
to be a big-
like that, so where maybe the older kids, the teenagers would have no interest in
Right.
staying around those hours that you're concerned about.
So then the only other issue would be insurance, because it is a common area. You know, are we gonna be responsible, God forbid, you know, I mean, I have no objections to having a play area, because I go to the park across the way, and the derelicts are there too, so,
I was told, management's already looked into this. According to management, converting any particular space into a play area should not increase our insurance.
okay, should not, but we need to double check that.
Well, it
I mean,
depends on the-
only God forbid, you know, somebody gets, I mean, even if we're walking and I get hurt on the common area, but that's just, that's an extra risk that, you know, we have to make sure that we're covered.
Yeah, that will be dealt, if this ever gets as far as the board.
Right.
Casey said he was getting a letter from the insurance broker or company.
Okay.
That the tennis court is covered by insurance. If you put them on the tennis court, it's still covered.
Okay. You know, one of the possibilities
Put 'em on.
is converting one of the right now we have 5 tennis courts, and they're underutilized. So one of the possibilities is taking one of the tennis courts and converting that area into a play area.
Because we play there anyway.
Right.
But all we could do is walk back and forth and get to the gate, you know?
Where's Miriam? Oh my gosh, hold doors.
Marvin, it was brought up that if this thing comes into a reality, that the parents will be there to supervise that the kids are doing the right thing there. The parents are gonna be there to supervise their children, right?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well,
How
they're
will the
gonna have a
board
lot.
know that the parents were there, or the parents left the kids and went away? Left them to, so that means that somewhere along the line, we have to have somebody on the payroll to be there with a book, taking in names of the parents and the kids when they came, that the parents were there and the kids were properly supervised.
I don't think you need a book, Frank, but when the rover does his round, that should be one of the checkpoints. You know what I mean? Just to do a little walkthrough.
And it's not
if
gonna be
anything.
older kids.
I want
Yeah.
proof of
For
everything.
the most
You're gonna
part, it's people
supervise.
with toddlers, and
Yeah.
I'm,
You're not gonna-
they're all very respectful and classy parents. All the friends that I've met in the neighborhood that do have children, they're really good
Yeah,
parents.
they're not gonna leave
It's
their
not the
kids.
group we're so concerned about. It's not, I think we're all more concerned about no basketball courts.
Yeah,
No
we
one
also
wants
that-
that kind of
That's
trouble.
gonna bring the
No.
wrong people
Yeah.
to the neighborhood.
They can go to
Come.
Jackie Gleason if they,
So, are we all agreeing with that, if there's no basketball courts?
Oh,
Yeah.
We sometimes find children out of the swimming pool with no adult supervision anywhere to be seen. What do? We act on it. That's a security issue. It would be the same thing with this play area.
If a child out there in a pool with the wings on, and one of the wings fails and the child drowns, who's gonna be responsible? Where was the parent? Is the parent ready to jump in? I had two of my great-grandkids here, and I was screaming at the little guy because he was in deep water without anything, and he wouldn't listen. So I took him out of the pool and said, sit there until I tell you you can go into to where you belong. That's being a parent, a grandparent. I care about my kids. And I want proof that we're gonna have kids doing that I won't have to pay for in the event, God forbid, one of them dies. And that could happen. I want proof. You wanna be a parent? Take care of your kids. I raised mine properly. I don't wanna raise somebody else and watch out for those other kids because their parents don't give a damn. And there's a lot of that too.
So far we have, somebody thinks it's a good idea to put it, to create a small area opposite interlocking, right? On the back side of the barbecue.
Yeah.
that flat area is right next to one of those tennis courts anyway, run the back tennis court, so you could
Yeah.
have.
But
So
the
on-
underutilized tennis court is the best option simply because it's fenced. Then it would be just a matter of putting in an entry gate.
Yeah, it's already
A
fenced,
simple
it's
entry.
already a flat surface. The minimum amount of changing, that makes sense. But so far we have, did somebody want part of the barbecue area?
No.
No, so on the back side.
Yeah, there's a huge flat,
So are you talking about the flat area by the tennis court or
on
behind
the,
the
like,
barbecue?
say if
Right next
I'm
to it.
walking towards, where are we? If I'm walking towards the tennis courts.
Yeah.
I pass the tennis courts and right there after the gate, it's
Got it,
all
okay.
flat
Got it,
grass.
okay.
We don't wanna take away from the tennis courts or the fire pit area at all, the opposite side.
Nobody uses those two tennis
They-
courts.
So you're saying
Fenced in already,
it's
safe.
right, it's right after the tennis court?
Yeah.
It's that flat area there?
Yes.
Okay, got it, okay.
To the right.
It's
Then you
something
gotta build
cheap,
a fence.
you know?
Fence it
Or
up.
True.
Makes sense.
Who's gonna finance this thing?
Makes no sense.
God only knows. That's
The
way in the
parents with
future.
children.
That's way in the future. Right now, as far as I'm concerned,
Something to talk about. We can talk about that.
somebody put out the possibility that we ask, since one of the concepts is that the majority of tots, of children, are the children of tenants or renters. And from an ownership point of view, the primary beneficiaries are investors who rent their units. So with that premise, would ask the investor owners to fund, or at least partially fund, the project. So that's one idea.
That's a good thought.
Okay.
But that
After that,
outlaws
we
their
live in the country
rent.
though.
Hmm?
So many of them don't even live in the country.
whatever, anyway, that's one.
But then they'll
Any
fix the
idea is
ramp
gonna
and
have
they'll
a-
leave, and then we'll have a playground for everything.
Well, again, I'm asking this question, who's gonna pay for it? The unit owners paid for everything. So the question is which unit owners in this particular case? You know, one possibility is to have investor owners take off part of it and just that they pay for some or all. Well, and whatever they don't pay.
They don't wanna lose their tenants, so if their tenants, a lot of their tenants have children, then they should accommodate them as well and make them feel more welcome in staying here.
Yeah, there's
You know,
all kinds of, one idea is, if these investor owners want to promote their units, their property, they can say, look, this is available for you. Come move here because this is good for kids, because we have this. It enhances, so one rationale is it helps maintain their property values.
And as being on sales and leases, you see a lot of people come in, it's a husband and wife, and then when they move in, kids show up. It's one bedroom apartment.
And the dogs.
That's happening, and we don't do anything about it, and I don't understand that.
The fallacy there is.
That's a separate issue.
Yeah, but the fallacy there is when they're signing an agreement that if they should sign that they're not bringing kids in. If they bring kids in, everything is null and void. You gotta know the truth at the beginning.
And their cousins.
And this place is lacking of the truth. And I'm for everything that's truthful and democratic. I don't care whether the kids are green, blue, black, yellow, red. I don't care who they are.
I'm sorry, no green kids are allowed in the village.
Okay.
It's right
But
there.
if I bring one, you'll take them. We fought for democracy.
Okay.
Marvin, I'm sure that the parents that are interested would be more than willing to finance it if we came up with maybe, you know, each parent chipping in a certain amount of money. However, my problem with that is being an owner for all these years, all of our association dues have covered the entertainment that have really benefited the older community for all these years. So it's kind of like
So a possibility
unfair
is even.
slightly.
So this is the first time I've heard anybody suggest that the actual user pays for it.
The possibility,
Good.
you know.
That's the first time I've heard it, so.
Like, I don't, I'd be willing to throw in 100, if someone else would be willing to throw in 100, if we could just get the ball kind of rolling with that.
Okay. So that's something for the, if it gets that, for the committee, and if it gets that far, for the board to consider.
Yeah.
Have we determined what age group are these kids? Are they little kids or teenagers or whatever, you know?
No, this is a completely open discussion about the possibility of setting aside some part of the community for a play area. What part of the community? What is it gonna look like?
So they're gonna have a certain amount of supervision for these kids?
No, the parents have to supervise the
We
kids.
do it right now.
But most of the parents are working, I mean, how are you
But-
gonna keep that?
It's
It
gonna
would-
be
it
for
would be-
little kids.
it would be a
It's
parent-
gonna
Be for the small
little,
kids.
yeah, the small kids. We don't wanna, you
Yeah,
don't wanna
we don't want
attract
teenagers, yeah.
Yeah.
older kids. They can go to they can ride their bikes to the park. Little kids cannot. And I totally understand that because I ride my bike to the park and you're not gonna put your little child on a bicycle and have them riding to the park.
The biggest
So it's
concern
gonna be-
was that they would be unsupervised.
Yeah, no.
That's what the neighborhood doesn't want. They don't want the children to be unsupervised and then get hurt.
It would have to be a
Any of
parent,
the big kids, anybody can go in there.
Yeah.
It's not-
it would have to be a parent or adult guardian, and you say, well, the parents are at work, nobody leaves children home alone, that's against the law. You can get arrested for that. So
Yeah, and you put up
there's
a
somebody,
sign anyway.
there's somebody
Must
with
be
the children.
supervised. If they don't, I like the idea of the lock, like you guys said. you
Yeah, it
would.
should be.
And if anybody's found unsupervised in there, then your privilege is taken away, that's it, no more, you know?
And I'm sure the parents that are in there, if they saw an unsupervised child, I mean, I would definitely say something.
Absolutely.
Where are your parents, what unit do you live in, and then report it.
We are doing it right now, we are supervising our kids, it's only that we wanna do it in a playground area. And if I see somebody that, you know, that kid that it doesn't have a parent, of course I'm gonna talk, because it's gonna be, jeopardizing my, you know, the rights of my kids to be playing there.
We just want something for like the toddlers to crawl on,
Yeah,
you know?
then when they get older, they can ride a bike, say, and go to another park.
Now, let's say that the play area has designated hours, let's say 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. or whatever. Once 6 p.m. rolls around, that gate is locked. Because the issue that you brought up is a relevant issue about people disposing of, you know, alcohol stuff and drug paraphernalia, whatever. Years ago, when I was running security here, every now and then, I had to call George Navarrete to go out to this parking lot on the side of Nottingham to clean up specific items that we were finding out there in the parking spaces. I'm not even going to say what they were, but I'll say this: God forbid some child should have picked up one of these things and put it in his or her mouth.
We have it all behind the Bordeaux building right now, on the side where the fence is, where the bridge. Marvin, here's another idea. Say you sell the keys to the parents that have invested in the playground. We could have the rover at 6 p.m. or summertime, 8 p.m., 7:30, whatever time you guys agree upon. They could always chain lock, so the parent with the key can't get in. You understand? Like a simple little combination lock, or so even if we do have the key, you can't get in because the park is closed.
Okay.
Well, I
That's if
think
it's
you
by the
guys,
tennis courts.
If they put it in one of the tennis courts.
Otherwise, it would just be an open
Yeah.
area by the flat land.
you guys would, I mean, I think the parents are pretty much, you know, comply with the times. I mean, it's for them, so, I mean, if you didn't, then it would be on you, you know.
I think it's reasonable to assume that any parent is going to be responsible.
Exactly.
So I'm willing to make that
Well-
assumption. Any other suggestions as to what it should look like, where it should be located?
What kind of equipment do they want? What's the opinion on that?
We've heard a couple of things. He mentioned that there are very inexpensive things that are made out of old tires.
Recycled material.
No, not just, actually tires, various different size tires.
Oh, I don't think that, I mean, I'm not interested in
But I've
tires.
seen playgrounds like that. They're beautiful. They painted the tires in colors that the kids love,
Yeah.
and they love climbing around these tires, and it's a safe activity.
Yeah.
Where have you seen
If
that?
you can get in.
Huh?
Where have you seen that?
I
Yeah,
think
that's what I
a new
said.
thing
If
called the
Toys R
internet.
Us, they sell.
Google,
That's
Google,
like to the
go to
other,
Google
maybe
and
1400.
Google rubber playgrounds, and you're gonna find out that a lot of these playgrounds
Yeah, do you
are
wanna show Marvin? That's
rubber
what, Marvin, that's what I meant,
ground
from
up.
Toys R Us.
Yeah, they have some nice ones at beaches.
Okay.
too.
You missed it, you weren't here when I
We don't
pointed
need
out
anything big like
Yeah,
a
just
school
something small.
the
playground.
only way a child is gonna get hurt in a rubber playground,
He has everything.
assuming there's no
Slides.
swings and no monkey bars where they can fall.
That's terrific.
The only way they're gonna get hurt is if one kid punches another kid in the nose.
Go look under Gorilla Playground. Sid, he just showed me something called Gorilla Playground.
The only other
Self-contained.
other issue is that you probably would have to, if you do it on a tennis court, well, even
The flooring,
yeah.
but they run in there anyway. That's all we have, that's all we have.
He
Throw
has,
the
he
ball,
has a
run back
picture
and forth.
of something.
Yeah,
else.
but
I
running
saw that.
versus being up a little, you know,
Yeah.
Any play area is gonna have a rubberized
it's
floor.
gonna have to,
Yeah, it's gonna, any player is gonna have to have a soft floor. To me, that's a given.
yeah.
So that's gonna be part of wherever it
Marvin, take a look what he has.
is. I start,
You sure?
yeah.
I mean, and if you put something like that on the side of the tennis courts, they have the grass. But I know everyone in the room wants it locked up, the playground.
Yeah, it has to be in a fenced area that can be locked.
And in my mind, there should be a fenced area just so the whole idea is to have kids not running around into the
In the
roadway.
street.
It has to be a safe, enclosed area for kids to play.
And not having teenagers hanging around all night with their friends and all the drug dealers.
Yeah, this is not designed for them.
No.
And that's what's happening in the barbecue area at night.
Well,
They
there has
go,
to be a
they go in the
code.
shadiest part where the lights are not on the tables and they're there smoking and drinking at night, so.
Okay.
You could smell it, right? We smelled it in the pool the other day, blowing in the wind.
So I guess I'd recommend that take a look at this recording. Have the committee take a look at the recording, and then do whatever you do, and make whatever recommendation you have to the board, and that'll be the next step.
What happened with all the emails that were sent? Because I know there was a notice that went out that said if you can't make it, please send your opinion to admin.
Yeah, to admin. I have no idea what the response was, but I'm sure you can
So
get.
then you'll look into that to see how many people, because I know I spoke to a few parents that said they couldn't make it due to religious reasons with Shabbat,
Mhm.
and they said they had already previously sent an email.
Terrific. So he can get that. Great. Any other thoughts or comments? Thank you. Appreciate you coming down. Thank you.
I'd like a steam room for stuff.
Hmm?
Does anybody wanna pay for a steam room? Anybody
A
interested?
steam room?
No,